Hello, hello. How are you? Happy Sunday. I'm excited to be back and have the opportunity to connect again this week. I hope if you're watching this, you've had a good week. It's been an interesting week. I would say my birthday was this week, actually, April 7th. That was fun. I got some had a neat day, neat things. Got some Legos. I was excited about that. I like Legos, pastel ones specifically. Yeah, so I'm excited to kind of come back and talk a little bit this week and connect hopefully with whoever might be able to join me and see what comes up. So I guess maybe, I don't know, my idea for these videos is really to kind of have, as I've shared, connection, the ability to have, connecting with whatever you're going through. We're in kind of weird times right now. And I want these videos to be casual. I might fumble around a little bit more. It's interesting because I always say you can tell in my videos when I start channeling or connecting because the articulation and I speak more fluid, which if anybody's interested in astrology, my Mercury is in Pisces. So that is fun and exciting for channeling, but that also means that sometimes when I'm not channeling, that yes, I can feel like I can stumble over my words or stutter over things. And I think if I remember correctly, yes. Also, I have Neptune in my third house in Sagittarius. So that also is, yeah, fun, adding to the equation. So, anyways, as I said, I want these videos to be casual. So I thought maybe I can start sharing a little bit personally and seeing what comes up and talking a little bit maybe about the astrology of where we're at, what's going on. So, as I mentioned, I think last video or I've recently shared that it's been a little crazy. There's been some ups and downs. I'm not gonna lie. I turned 46, and part of that I'm realizing is premenopause. Yay, that's super fun, and hormone changes. So that's not what my Capricorn moon loves. Dealing with different fluctuations of emotional currents. And I realize that also, I think that in some capacity or another, a lot of us can resonate or feel because whether you're empathic, well, then I'm sure you're probably definitely feeling a lot coming from the collective, or maybe you're not, but you just feel like you may be surrounded by lots of opinions, lots of things going on, lots of not sure where things land. It seems like there's, especially here in the US, a lot of things that are happening. I mean, not just the US, all over really. And I don't want to get into politics, but it just seems like there is a lot that is touching and influencing a lot of people. And that can be challenging at times to navigate. And it's also interesting because I've also noticed in my clients, a lot of people that are coming around are individuals that feel like how would I describe this? It's almost like this sense of trying to hold or be or suppress who you naturally are is becoming more difficult to do, because I think that it's time to kind of allow yourself to step into your fullness, to be the fullest essence of who you are. And I think a lot of people are feeling that. They're getting curious to know more. And I was speaking with someone the other day, and they just shared just something simple about their life and felt like they had lived for so long editing to some regard, like how they spoke or what they shared, because they knew it felt otherworldly or not a part of this reality. And I can relate to that too. I mean, there comes to a point, I think, where you don't even realize how much you're doing it, how much you're editing, and you don't mean to, but it's just conditioned behavior that just it isn't meant to go forward with us. So that I know was one thing, one theme I would say that definitely has come up a lot this week and come up with the clients and the work I've done. And so that leads me to the next thing is I know a lot of people are talking about all of this energy coming into Aries. Now, I don't know. I feel like I kind of fit a weird box as an astrologer because I really, for the most part, haven't really had the desire to fixate on this is the upcoming transits. This is what's going on. I mean, I did energy updates for a little while that I channeled live. And sometimes I would share from astrology and sometimes I wouldn't. And I guess that would be because part of my perspective is that I see astrology as very nuanced. Yes, you could say there are certain things that are blanketed that, affect everybody. But I feel like I tend to look at astrology from a perspective of evolving and shifting, and it can mean a numerous of different things for different people. Also, I tend to be someone that prefers to experience first and system second. So even in my own life, I have my moments, but for the most part, I tend to want to experience life. And then if I have something come up and I think, goodness, I wonder what the astrology is right now, then I'll usually go and check and look at my chart and say, oh, yeah, that fits, or oh, it doesn't. One thing that I found that's interesting on that subject is I noticed that where my interest lies, the area of life that I'm feeling called to explore, follows the moon, wherever the moon is in my chart. So, for example, if I'm, we're wanting to, thinking a lot about my home, thinking a lot about my family, maybe wanting to check in with various people. A lot of times I can look and the moon is somehow activating, around, for example, the fourth house, which, is connected to home, family, safety, security. I find that when I'm wanting to go on the, wild goose hunts or learn something new, that, a lot of times I'll notice the moon is highlighting my ninth house, which, has to do with higher learning and beliefs and philosophy and, culture and going down, the rabbit hole of information. So yes, it absolutely influences us. But what I find is sometimes it's possible for us to look at the astrology and come up with opinions of what things may or may not be. For example, right now, a lot is out there accessible where people are talking about, oh my gosh, 7 planets are in Aries, watch out, all of this intensity. And yes and no, I feel like it has a number of different ways that that can play out. And it really honestly depends on the individual's chart and their individual soul's journey and where they are and what house it is in, that it can influence what is actually going to happen. So, yes, you can say, my nose is tickling today. I keep going to scratch my nose. You can say that you can look at it from one perspective and say, okay, Aries, Mars, fire, aggression. Like Aries gets labeled as like this tempered person that is just going to snap on you at any moment. And I can tell you, as an Aries myself, I can't say that I resonate with that in my life. Usually, actually, I'm pretty tolerant. I can say once I reach that point, that yeah, there can be an intensity, but not in a violent sense. But anyways, the point is you can look at it and say, oh, all of this energy is causing fire and all of this, but at the same time, Aries isn't just what is being portrayed as clickable on a YouTube, video. It's Aries is also pioneering. It's starting. Aries is the I am. So my perspective would be, with all of this energy in Aries, it's shining light on the individual of you, of the self, in some capacity or another, and how you are showing up. And it depends on where it is in your natal astrology chart. So, for example, my sun is in the 7th house on my descendant, pretty much in Aries. So, for all of these planets here, everything is in some capacity or another asking me to look at how I am showing up in connection with others, how I'm showing up or being true to my individuality in connection with my relationships. It's also showing ways in which, with that Aries energy, am I playing small? Am I backing down? Or am I embracing my fire? Am I owning all that I am? So you can see, yes, for me, all of this energy in Aries is saying that there's going to be a lot of focus in my area of relationships. So someone else, it could be in somewhere completely different in your chart. For example, if it's you have Aries in the 10th house, this is where you have how you're perceived, how your public reputation or image or legacy. If this is a career house, so if people are asking me about what's my purpose, if all this Aries energy right now is in your 10th house, that's a big light being shined in various ways that's helping you, Saturn, build a sturdy foundation of how you're showing up. Maybe it means, that Aries energy, maybe it means taking a pause, and thinking through with a little more clarity before you move forward. Get my inheritance that is tied up into. Okay, awesome. Thank you for your question. I can definitely tune into that. If you would like me to intuitively connect, what I ask is that you share your first name only, and then type yes if you give me permission to connect with your energy. Okay? So the energy with Aries, it just depends. It depends on where it is in your chart. Like I said, 10th house, you're probably going to have a focus on career if that's, where that energy is for you. Looking at various ways in which you're embracing your individuality, your sense of self, and allowing yourself to fully show up in different ways is just a basic example. But my point is I don't ever think we should look at astrology in a way of just a blanketed basic expression of what a sign is, because it depends on where it is in your chart. Teresa, yes. Okay. Thank you for joining and for watching. So yes, I can tune into this and see what sort of information is coming up from your guides in regards to your question. And whatever comes through is in accordance to your highest good. So give me a moment to connect to your energy, Teresa, and I will see what comes up. If you can, if you're in a position to breathe with me or just relax, close your eyes or take a breath. Just pause for a minute to be present and where you are. I'm not sure of the full, one moment. The first thing I feel like that I'm picking up is I'm getting a bit of the color red, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with the chakras, but this is connected to the root chakra. I feel a sense, a bit of, possibly a bit of, for lack of better words, a frantic feeling energetically, and especially coming from the root chakra. I'm not sure of this scenario, but it feels as if perhaps this is something that has either been anticipated or a journey and going back and forth in some capacity, I'm sensing. And what I feel like is coming through is there's an essence of an energy. There's something else deeper under the surface. I'm not sure where the desire is coming from, whether maybe it feels like there's a financial strain in some capacity. Maybe there's something that feels like you desire to do, but are being held up. But whatever it is, this energy I'm sensing is there's a deeper lesson or journey here that has a lot to do with being able to kind of work in co-creation with your life, meaning that there's a level of it's like if you squeeze something too tight, it can slip through. That in receiving, there is also an essence of allowance, of flow, and believing and trusting that everything is playing out in accordance to divine timing and your highest good. And when we can have a root chakra, which has a lot to do with feeling safe, feeling secure, feeling connected, it can connect to home, family, or meaning this could be something else going on ancestrally here in a dynamic between the circumstance. But essentially, there's this essence that it doesn't feel grounded. And so, what happens is sometimes in those cases, when the energy is that, we can complicate things in a way where if we were to just relax more, that things would come with a little more ease. I'm going to give you an example of something I feel inclined to share. And it is an example that has come up in a recent channeling of mine. And what was said is there are different ways we can respond to our circumstances. So, for example, if you were suddenly plopped into the ocean, into a deep body of water, there are different ways you can go about it. Perhaps you may freak out and flail, and you're flapping around and you're kicking, you're trying to swim, and you're feeling a lot of frantic energy coming from you from the situation, which is essentially draining. And it isn't always going to produce the results that we may want it to produce. Another way would be, for example, someone drops you into the ocean, and some people may feel like there's a target on their back. They might not be concerned about not feeling the ground. They could be maybe more concerned about what out here is going to eat me. And so there can be a frantic energy with that. Or you can be in a situation where you say, okay, I'm going to just float with this because I don't know the answer in this moment, but I know I can't exhaust myself, my energy, and I'm going to feel better if I flow with where I am and accept the situation in this moment and allow myself to flow through it. So if you flow, you then are saving your energy, not resisting, thinking clearly, and things then can come to you probably with more ease than if you were frantic with the energy otherwise. There is something deeper with this situation, is what I'm saying, where you are being put in this position, and the guidance of what they want you to know is to float, because the more you are frantic about it, the more essentially you're making the situation a little more difficult. I remember when I was in a financial situation once, and I was expecting like a family member to send me a check for I think it was Christmas, and I kept checking the mail and checking the mail and checking the mail, and every day became consumed with checking the mail, waiting for this thing. And I realized finally that I had to just let it go, to relax and trust that what I am provided for regardless, and what is for me can't be missed. And when I released that and allowed the situation, the check came in. And so it was about me working in collaboration with the divine, saying, I'm not forcing this. I'm not frailing in the ocean. I know that I'm protected. I know that I'm cared for. I know that is what is for me can't be missed. And in that surrender and in that flow and allowance, then things came with a little more ease. So I feel like this is what's coming up. And also, I feel like there is a relationship dynamic possibly there in some capacity that you might want to look a little deeper of any feelings that may be arising around the circumstance. because I feel like there's something there that wants to be realized. And you can do that through, I feel like your guides are saying journaling would be a good idea. I'm not sure if you do that, or just writing on a paper. Like, even if it's frustration, oh, I've been waiting for this forever. I've been back and forth about this forever. Like, write it down and read it back and see what's reflected to you. And you might look at it and say, what's actually under the surface bubbling? Because usually it's not the top layer of circumstance, it's the thing underneath that is kind of stirring the pot. So I feel like your guides are saying to look at that. I'm also feeling, I don't feel like, I feel like there will be a resolution for this sooner than you think, but I feel like your guides are wanting you to kind of feel into this energy before there would be an absolute answer, because they want that experience, that journey, that growth to take place. So, Teresa, that's what I got for you. I hope in some way some of that was helpful. Yeah, thank you for your question. Awesome. Wonderful. Okay, so I know what I was talking about, the Aries energy. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your openness. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time here today, but if you are watching the replay, I am curious to see how you are feeling the Aries energy. I will say also something I'd like to add to that. If anybody watching is familiar with human design, I would say for those of you that are familiar with that and are projectors, that this would be something to kind of be mindful or watch how you experience the collective increase in energy. Thank you so much, Teresa. I appreciate your kind words. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. um, it would be interesting to see how especially my projector friends are feeling the Aries energy, and also if what I shared about the energy, if you kind of know where Aries is in your chart with all of this energy, feel free to comment and let me know like where it is, or even if you have a question for next time about that you want me to kind of look into and explore regarding your chart, your astrology chart, feel free to share any questions about your natal astrology chart, where Aries is for you in what house, and see how that kind of is playing out for you personally. But I definitely feel like I would, it'll be interesting to see what happens collectively with the Aries energy, but also to understand that yes, it's affecting everyone differently, and that is, I think, important to remember. I definitely have seen a few people talk about it like the world is going to end with all this energy in Aries right now. Like we're just gonna blow everything up. I can't personally say, I don't know. I guess to some degree there's some of that, but it's not affecting everybody in that way. And I don't know, be mindful of what kind of stories I know I've been looking at, what stories I'm telling myself, you know, because it could be easy to go down rabbit holes. So, yeah, awesome. Okay, well, I think that it has been a week for me, and I'm going to be mindful of my energy. So I think this is going to be the end for me today. If you are watching this, thank you. Like I said, if you find that you have a question for me for next week, feel free to drop it below. And I hope you have a beautiful week. Thank you for watching. Bye.